Hi, I'm Hannah Wallace and welcome to FinextraTV. We're here at Sibos 2022 in Amsterdam. Now, joining me in the studio to discuss financial transparency and inclusion is Leslie Bailey from LexisNexis Risk Solutions. Leslie, thank you very much for joining us in the studio.
Thanks for having me.
Really good to have you on, and a really interesting topic, financial inclusion and financial transparency. And I think a really good place to start is looking at the differences between the two. So tell us, how do they differ?
Yeah, so great question. Thanks for asking, Hannah. I think what's important for people to understand is financial transparency and inclusion is really simple in terms of the what and the how. So making access to financial institutions more accessible, often for underserved or underbanked across the globe.
Mm-hmm. All right, great. And I know that you've recently been doing some research within this topic, so it'd be great if we could hear a bit more about that and tell us, what did you set out to find and what were some of the challenges and maybe some of the barriers that you discovered along the way?
Yeah, so first and foremost, this is a really important topic to LexisNexis Risk Solutions in that we want to promote greater financial inclusion across the globe, and we want to make sure that we are helping our customers maintain compliance. So there's this effort when you onboard, I don't want to say effort, but large regulations, tons of guidance around how do you know who you're doing business with. Mm-hmm. And so we looked broadly and look year over year at how are we opening up the aperture as financial services communities, as insurers, so that we have greater insight into customers, so that we still know who our customers are that we're doing business with, what the nature of their financial relationship is, and how do we bring more people into the fold when there are alternative methods as we progress forward in a very digital society. In offering more people access. The fact of the matter is, when you have greater access to financial institutions, to banking people, it helps reduce things like money laundering. Yeah. It helps reduce the exposure to underground economies. So we really want to drive toward products and solutions that help our customers meet those needs.
All right, that's really interesting. And data plays a really important role as well, doesn't it? So how do data sharing arrangements support those financial inclusion goals?
So we've seen this real shift, especially over the past couple of years, where there's the attention at board levels within financial institutions, and perhaps it's the continued emergence of ESG, people really taking a social interest in not only things like greenhouse gases, but also things like financial inclusion, to say we want to make this a top priority in the industry. And so sharing information has become key. Consortium, you'll see greater propensity to do this. Mm-hmm. For example, in Europe, where there is an existing framework for open banking and really growing that. So a lot around that, and the recognition that by sharing information, we're actually opening the availability for underserved, underbanked, mm-hmm. and bringing more people into financial services.
All right, well, following on from that quite nicely then, I know there has been some friction around KYC checks. So what's your lasting advice to those financial institutions perhaps struggling in that space?
So, wonderful question, and I think that's what the so what of it is, right? So for those struggling in the space, I think it's important to think smartly about how you bring your data together with your software solutions that help you maintain compliance. At the end of the day, you're looking for that, making sure you adhere to your internal risk appetite, right? At the same time, when people in the compliance arena or in those institutions understand that if you can get your data on a single platform, if you can leverage consistent data across your organization and you can waterfall it appropriately, then you reduce the friction for your customer. You aren't turning away so many people, and at the same time, you've come up with a smart way to bring people into the fold, potentially by layering digital data with the traditional physical data that people have looked at for years.
Sure. Some sound advice there, and that's where LexisNexis comes in, of course. But Leslie, thank you so much for sharing your insights today. As I say, really interesting topic.
Thank you so much.
And I'll let you get back to the event. Thank you.
Thanks.